Johnny was close to graduation, and he had just gotten his first job. His parents were proud of him. Life made sense. When he worked harder, he got better-sounding letters, or small amounts of money. Everything was in order, and he was at peace. Or at least he was until something happened that he just could not let go of. The grocery stores all replaced their paper bags with plastic bags one day. Johnny asked a cashier why. "Obviously, it's to improve the environment," came the reply. "It is?" "Yes." Johnny was confused. "But paper is biodegradable." The cashier was getting annoyed at the questions. "We have to cut down trees to make paper." "But trees regrow." "Look, it's complicated," said the cashier. He directed Johnny to go speak to the manager. The manager sounded more confident, but overall the conversation was about the same. He said, "It's complicated," and gave Johnny a business card so he could call their bag department. When he got home, he called the bag department. Instead of trying to explain their reasoning to him, they told him they got their information from a real expert, but they wouldn't give any further information. He had to call back 4 times to get them to tell him how to get in touch with the expert. He set up an appointment and went to speak to the expert. Johnny started by explaining how dangerous plastic is to the planet because it keeps ending up in the ocean and the amount grows every year. "Did you do any math?" the expert interrupted, because he'd had this conversation too many times before. "What is the surface area of the planet? What is the volume of the ocean? How much plastic is it possible to produce?" Everyone with these objections makes it out like we will someday smother everything on the planet with plastic. That will never be possible. The expert shooed Johnny out of his office and told his secretary to never let him back in. Johnny did more research. He took notes about actual facts and figures and planned his arguments. Then he went back to the expert's office. The expert said, "How did you get back in here? I told my staff not to let you in again." "A disguise," said Johnny. He held up the mask so the expert could see. He was briefly afraid of being thrown out, but then the expert asked Johnny to sit at the conference table with him. "You're clearly quite smart, so let's talk about this some more." Johnny went ahead and started making his arguments, but the expert interrupted again. "I know this stuff. I already know. Tell me, what's most important in life?" Johnny thought about it briefly and then said, "I want to make a real difference in the world by making it so that the total amount of the sum of all of the things that I do that are good are outweighed by the ungood things that have negative effects on the others around me in a way that makes it so there's more good." Then Johnny asked the expert what's most important to him. "Family and friends," he replied without missing a beat. Then he pointed out, "We live in a disconnected society. You know that, right? We don't have a tribe anymore, or at least we think we don't. It seems that every new technological advance and convenience serves to give us all less reason to interact. We have no scarcity of material, nor any enemies capable of taking that away from us. None of these are our limiting factors. The only real limiting factor is social. What people really want is to be part of something together. The problem is that getting us all to do things together is like herding cats. The reason why I'm accepted as a leader is because I give those who follow me what they want. What I offer is a cause to rally behind, a simple way to say I'm a good boy because I'm part of the right thing. It was never about the bags, it was never about the ecology or the economy. It's about the connection. And you're making money off of it," said Johnny. "You make it sound sinister," said the expert. "Healthy adults pay for services rendered. The fact that you don't understand why the market wants me to do my work doesn't mean that I shouldn't do it." That last thing the expert said stuck with Johnny. He barely remembered the rest of the conversation. He went home, slept, went to school, learned things that hopefully weren't obsolete, and then went to work. He hated this. He decided that day that he had to get out of the rat race. Johnny quit his job. Then his parents were less proud of him, but he didn't care because he was on a mission. Johnny went to the library. He walked. He took out lots of books about science and engineering. He wanted to learn as much as he could about the biggest things there were to learn about. After much fruitless studying, he finally had an epiphany. he realized that his research pattern indicated two-dimensional thinking. Johnny folded up a piece of paper and threw it across the room, and it hit his brother in the head. He actually did not intend for it to do that, but anyway, that was the moment he realized exactly what the whole world needed. Johnny wrote up a pitch and presented it to the expert. The expert was excited. He started making plans. He wanted Johnny to make the pitch to other experts, investors, and then to the public. Johnny wasn't sure he liked this idea. "You want me to present this? I don't know how to sell products like this." "It's easy," said the expert. "All you have to do is let them think it was their idea all along." After several introductions, referrals, and revisions, Johnny found himself giving a speech about the amazing flyability of paper. A heckler in the audience told Johnny that he had those lights on backwards. He gave a speech about the amazing flyability of paper and demonstrated by throwing the small paper airplane out over the audience. The audience was so impressed that he had their rapt attention while he explained to them the unique and severe dangers posed by chemtrails. Johnny explained how various researchers have clearly documented that chemtrails created by airplanes that are not paper increase the parts per million of something in the atmosphere by roughly 3 per year. "Not everyone, but I'm sure most of us," he said, "are familiar with this study. I'm not saying anything new and groundbreaking, but merely speaking aloud what many of us are already thinking. The time to solve this problem is now, before too many ecologies break beyond repair." His speech worked. He won the hearts and minds of the masses, and soon thereafter he received funding from investors who owned money-printing machines. Chemtrails were dangerous, and there was a lot of paper that was no longer being used to create bags. It was the perfect time to start creating something new because the market was ready. Thus began an amazing career in building paper airplanes.